Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're navigating the kind of crazy, challenging waters of the IB diploma program, you already know that business management is a seriously dynamic, rigorous course. But hey, working hard, that's really only half the battle. The other half is knowing exactly how the game is scored. So today, we're building you a strategic roadmap to understand precisely how the IB business management is graded for both SL and HL, and we're pulling this straight from the syllabus and examiner reports.
Because let's be real, it's the ultimate question every single ambitious student asks. How do you actually get a 7? Well, we're going to treat this explainer like a gamified map to success. We'll demystify the entire journey to that top score by breaking down all the moving parts, the distinct components, those notoriously strict requirements, and the exact margins of error you're allowed if you want to hit that highest tier.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, the IB grading landscape. Second, standard level versus higher level. Third, the internal assessment. Fourth, mastering the external exams. And finally, hitting the grade boundaries. Let's jump in.
Starting off with sections 1 and 2, the IB grading landscape and standard level versus higher level. Right off the bat, the distinction between standard level and higher level is just massive. The SL course is built around 150 recommended teaching hours and wraps up with 2 external exams. But take a look at the higher level path. It's intense. It requires an extra 90 hours of study, bringing the total to a whopping 240 hours, mainly because it demands extra depth, breadth, extension material, and oh yeah, an entirely additional exam paper. It's a heavy lift for sure.
And this is super revealing. Notice how differently the risk is distributed here. Because SL students don't sit for paper 3, a massive 30% of their final grade is essentially locked in with the internal assessment, the IA, before exams even begin. Now, for HL students, that risk is spread out a bit more across the exams. Their IA only counts for 20%, while that exclusive paper 3 makes up a really critical 25% of their total grade. Moving on to step 3, the internal assessment, or the IA.
So for both SL and HL students, the baseline task here is exactly the same. You're going to spend about 20 hours on a business research project. But listen up, because here is the golden rule, and it's a trap you absolutely need to avoid. Your project must investigate a real issue facing a real organization. No hypothetical business ideas, no fictional startup proposals, none of that. It has to be grounded entirely in reality. To secure those maximum 25 marks, you've got to navigate a pretty strict maze of constraints. Your final project, it absolutely cannot exceed 1,800 words. You also have to focus on just a single organization, rely on solid primary or secondary research, and this is key, attach exactly 3 to 5 authentic supporting documents. Any more or any less, and you're literally risking points right off the bat. Then there's the whole conceptual lens thing. You can't just write a standard, generic business report. You actually have to choose one, and only one, of 4 key concepts. Those are change, creativity, ethics, or sustainability. This concept basically acts as the anchor for your entire analysis. So say you pick sustainability. You'd need to deeply analyze how sustainable practices might reduce long-term costs and, secure the business's future. All right, section 4, mastering the external exams. Now we're entering the boss level. Both SL and HL sit for papers 1 and 2, but get this, they test completely different skills. Paper 1 is sort of your strategic playground. You actually get a pre-released case study 3 months in advance, giving you plenty of time to prepare. Paper 2, on the other hand, total surprise. It's entirely unseen stimulus material with a really heavy focus on quantitative financial analysis. So it forces you to think critically right there on the spot. And for the higher level students, there's an exclusive hurdle waiting for you, paper 3. This is a 1-hour and 15-minute exam based entirely on unseen stimulus material, usually about an innovative, and maybe even disruptive, social enterprise. You have to answer 3 compulsory questions that are worth a total of 25 marks. I want to share a little bit of insider knowledge here, straight from the examiner reports. Paper 3 is actually deliberately designed to align with the IB mission statement of, creating a better world. It explicitly invites you to step into the role of a mission-driven change agent. You aren't just crunching numbers and calculating profits here. You're supposed to demonstrate empathy and creativity to make ethical, strategic decisions for your stakeholders.
Now, across all these exams, you're going to face these 10-mark extended response questions. If you want to hit that top band for a score of 9 or 10, you can't just list facts or name drop things from the case study. You absolutely must have a clear focus on what the question is demanding, use your business tools accurately, and effectively integrate the stimulus material. And crucially, your arguments have to be substantiated, they need to be balanced, and actually this is where a lot of students miss out. They have to include an explanation of the limitations of the case study itself.
Finally, Section 5. Hitting the grade boundaries. When we look at the exact business management IB grades boundaries for standard level, you'll immediately realize, wow, there is very little room for error. Out of a maximum 25 marks on your IA, you need at least 20. But look at paper 1. You need to score an incredible 27 out of 30 marks just to step into the grade 7 band. That's practically near perfection. And on paper 2, you're going to need at least a 33 out of 40.
Now compare that to the higher level boundaries. HL faces the exact same tight margins on the IA and paper 1, requiring a 20 and a 27 respectively. But because your overall exams are larger, the math kind of shifts. For the 50-mark paper 2, you have to pull at least 32 marks. And for that tricky social enterprise paper 3, you need a minimum of 17 out of 25 to keep that level 7 dream alive.
Look, achieving a 7 is incredibly demanding, for sure, but it's not a total mystery. By keeping these precise target numbers, the specific task weightings, and the examiner mark band criteria in mind, you can be super strategic about how you allocate your study hours. You know exactly where the points are hidden now and exactly what level of depth is required to extract them.
Armed with this insider strategy, the next move is yours to make on your journey to mastering IB business management. The map is officially in your hands, and the boundaries are set. So, looking at your first major milestone, which conceptual lens will you choose to conquer your IA? Good luck out there, and keep learning.